Hello, my brother. Welcome to the Great Man Within podcast. Every episode designed to help you discover and live the great man within you. So something you may or may not know about me is I am a massive, huge, raving fan of Breaking Bad. One of the top 3 shows of all time. I have seen that series start to finish 3 times through. Every single episode 3 times through, no joke. On my 35th birthday, I ended up having a Breaking Bad themed party here in my place where everyone dressed up as characters from the show. I had 3 different costume changes over the course of the night. I wore like a hazmat suit with the face mask. I dressed up like Jesse, one of the main characters who people have told me I've looked like and who I bumped into in a Los Angeles airport bathroom once. And I think like the main outfit I wore for the night, if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, the very first scene in the very first show, Walter White, who is the main character, is wearing a button-down lime green shirt with his tighty whities and boots because he's cooking crystal meth. That was his outfit. And that's what I wore for the back end of my party after I was nicely lubricated alcohol-wise. I also turned my bathroom into like the Winnebago, crystal meth Winnebago cooking lab. My bathroom was decked out like that. It was one of the most legendary birthday parties I ever had. I tell you this because I had been resisting watching Breaking Bad's spin-off show, Better Call Saul, because I thought that it would cheapen the memory of one of the greatest shows of all time. So I haven't been watching it, but more and more people who I respect have been telling me, dude, you got to watch the show. I know Mark Manson has been writing about watching Better Call Saul. My friend Stephanie has been saying it's great. You got to get in on it. So finally this weekend, I relented. And I binged like 5 or 6 episodes. And I got to tell you, I don't feel bad about it at all. Show is freaking great. So if you have defeated Netflix and watched almost everything on there, and you are a Breaking Bad fan, you cannot watch Better Call Saul without having seen Breaking Bad first, then get in on Better Call Saul. I waited way too long, but I'm reaping the rewards of that right now. Okay, that felt important for me to share with you because that has nothing to do with our conversation today about optimizing your workday, designing your optimal workday. And I wanted to have this conversation with you this week because I feel like it's time for some really grounding episodes on how to structure your days, how to build better habits. We're going to do a conversation later this week on designing your morning routine, like a quick starter package for that. And so the key concept here, guys, is a great man needs to understand what gives him his greatest energy and how to structure his life around what gives him his greatest energy. How to be in his greatest energy so that he can lead from that place. He can create from that place. He can produce from that place. And what I found is that in my own life, evidence of my own life, for decades of my life, I just kind of showed up for my days based on other people and what they needed from me, meetings that were structured on my calendar. And I didn't really give much thought to how did I optimize my day so that my best energy matched my output. And if you want to create big things in your life, if you want to live every day feeling a sense of control and command, that you're getting the biggest things done that are fulfilling and meaningful for you, then you have to actually commit to that. So let me ask you a few questions that will get you started on your thinking around how you've designed your optimal workday or not. So the 3 questions I'm going to hit at a high level first, and then we're going to dive deeper into each one of them. Number 1. Is your day structured to match your best energy? Is your day structured to match your best energy? Number 2, is your day structured to facilitate the execution of the most important things? Is your day structured to facilitate the execution of doing the most important things? And number 3, do you have regular blocks of time, 90 to 120 minutes, for pure focus? Do you have regular blocks of time, like 90 to 120 minutes, sometimes maybe more, for pure focus time? Okay, let's go into each of these three at a deeper level. So number one, is your day structured to match your best energy? I would like you to actually rate yourself right now on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 1 being lowest, obviously, 10 being the highest. Is your day structured to match your best energy? And here's what I mean by that. I remember when I was working in the corporate world, I didn't really give much thought to how my day was structured. It was just kind of like I would get to the office and then whatever meetings were on my calendar, and then I'd go about my day, and then maybe there would be open blocks of time where no one had scheduled something. And during those open blocks of time, I would go and maybe work on something that was strategic. When I was in sales, maybe it was developing my territory plan or my business plan for the year. When I was in management, it could have been about figuring out how I was going to develop the future sales organization, right? Like what kind of talent I needed to develop over the next few years, the future of sales talent. But those would always find their ways in the cracks. And then the way that my days would start was primarily doing a flood of meetings that people wanted to schedule on my calendar. Well, what I've come to find, I came to find over the last few years of my employment and much more deeply in the entrepreneurial world where I have now structured my days, I found out that my best energy, my most creative energy, my most tapped in energy happens first thing in the morning. So I am religious about scheduling and blocking that time in the morning where no one can put meetings on my calendar up until 10 o'clock now. In the past, it was like, okay, I would block off until 8 a.m. And then I realized how important my creative time in the morning was. So then I moved it to 9 a.m. And then recently, I blocked off my schedule until 10 a.m. And only do I, under like very specific circumstances or something super important, do I move something before 10 a.m. in the morning. I've recognized that if I want to be creative, if I want to be strategic, it has to happen before I get into the tactical, into the meetings, into the things that sap my energy. So now I am quite vigilant about maintaining that time in the morning. Now, my Chief Operating Officer, Callie, will tell you that I disdain doing anything operationally oriented or too in the weeds or too detailed, which is why she's here helping save my life in that regard. But there are certain times where we need to get into the weeds on things. Those meetings are not happening in the morning. Those are happening in the afternoon after I've gotten to the things that require my greatest energy. Creation, ideation, strategy. That happens in the morning. The tactics come in the afternoon. I also save most of my emails for the afternoon as well. I monitor my email box regularly throughout the course of the day, and there's certain things that pop up like a sales opportunity or something that my clients need, and then I'll respond to that regularly throughout the day. But there's a bunch of other emails that aren't typically urgent or important, at least with respect to my business or the work that I'm doing, so that I will save that stuff for the back end of the day when I don't need my best energy to handle that stuff. So on a scale of 1 to 10, is your day structured to match your best energy? And if it's not a 10, as most aren't, mine isn't even a 10 right now, even as much attention I focus on this, then what changes can you make to move yourself up 1 or 2 notches? Okay, question number 2. Is your day structured to facilitate the execution of the most important things? Is your day structured to facilitate the execution of the most important things? Every night before I go to bed, I write down a list of 1, 2, at max 3 of the most important priorities I have for the next day. That if those things were to get done, the day would be a win. And I also look at my calendar to make sure that I have time and space organized around me getting those things done. And I find that most people, surprisingly, don't do this. It's kind of like, oh, I know I need to get these things done, but they haven't carved out or taken command of their calendar for those things to actually have the space to get done. I find that most people's calendars are commandeered by other people, commandeered by other meetings. And when this happens, then the most important things that you need to get done are constantly either getting pushed or they're getting squeezed in the cracks of those little openings you have throughout the course of the day where you are not going to be at 100%. So Is your day structured to facilitate the execution of the most important things? And I would ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 right now. And once again, if it's not a 10, then what might your days look like if you were to just notch up 1 or 2 more points on that scale? And I think the way to help you do that is to get to this third question, which is, do you have regular blocks of time, 90, 120 minutes of focus time where you get the most important things done? Do you have regular blocks of time, 90 to 120 minutes, where you get the most important things done, your focus time? Now, most people don't have these large blocks of time, right? Like 90 to 120 minutes seems indulgent, when in actuality, I think that that's almost like undershooting it. If you listen to Cal Newport, who talks about deep work, he says that 4-hour blocks of time are where you get real deep work done. Now, 4-hour blocks of time is typically for things that are like super important, the future of your work, the future of your business, creative problem solving. Some things don't require 4 hours or so. But if you are constantly switching in 30-minute increments, 20-minute increments, task to task, you're not going deep enough in your work. It's just impossible to go deep in a 20-minute period of time regularly. So having consistent 90 to 120 minute blocks scheduled for you to get the most important things done are essential. Now, those blocks of time aren't going to appear on your calendar out of nowhere. There are 3 things that you need to do to make sure that that happens. So first, you need to be proactive in managing your calendar, right? You need to be looking at your calendar on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis and proactively scheduling these blocks of time on your calendar and letting all the other meetings fill in around it. Number 2, you need to be vigilant in protecting that time. Scheduling the time is easy, but when someone else wants a claim on that time, they want to put a meeting on that time, it's up to you to say, no, like this is the time where I get my most important work done. So you have to be vigilant about that. And step number 3 is you're going to have to prepare to have difficult conversations with other people around how much time they need from you and how many meetings they are pulling you into. Okay, this one's really important because as you're putting 90 to 120 minute blocks on your calendar, what that's naturally going to do is shrink the amount of time that you're available for others. And when people are coming to you with meeting requests, they're not always considering your time, your schedule, what's most important to you. They need you for a certain reason. Maybe they invited you to a 60-minute meeting where only 4 minutes of your time is required and the other 56 you're mailing it in, but they need you there for that 4 minutes. Well, that's not working for you anymore. So you're going to have to start to push back and have some difficult conversations around, what do you need me there for? What's the agenda look like? Can I get this done in the 5 minutes? And then can I leave because I got these other things to do? Or does this hour-long meeting need to be an hour long? Can it be 30 minutes? I'm not clear on what you need me for. Do I really need to be in this meeting at all? Those are conversations that are not easy, but not having those conversations is what ends up pulling you into a whole bunch of meetings that do not optimize your energy, that do not optimize your input, output. It doesn't optimize your day. So a great man is willing to have those conversations so that he can maintain the integrity of his greatest energy of his day. Because when you win the day, you can win the week, win enough weeks, you win the month, win enough months, you win the year, you win enough years, you can win a decade, your lifetime. That's how it works. So every single day needs to have an emphasis on, is my day optimized around my best energy, getting the most important things done, and do I have these regular blocks of time that allow me to focus? So as we wrap up today's discussion, this is now your opportunity to check in with yourself around the area you are going to take action on from something you learned today as soon as this podcast is over. Because a great man doesn't just listen and intellectualize, he takes bold, decisive action right now. Good luck.